KSW.
Yes, I am. Our next guest is a true MMA legend, and he went to Linwood High School, actually. So if he's not doing anything later, I thought we could head up to my house, which is right by the Compact Car Corner. We could play some UFC Undisputed, and then head on over to the Alderwood Mall and eat at the Panda Express.
Why not?
Please welcome to the show the natural Randy Couture.
I used to work at the Alderwood Mall.
Is that true? A listener emailed us and said that you were a janitor there.
That's true. I used to walk around with one of those little brooms and sweep up butts and the whole deal.
Nice. You ever wanted to go back in time and maybe have a little bit of a UFC fight against that boss that made you go to the Bath and Body Works and clean up that mess?
Yeah, I'd like to find him again.
It's just, it's just such an example where no matter what you're doing in life, be cool to who you run into, no matter what kind of job you think is good or bad, because you just never know what they're going to be,
Right.
I mean, how many people right now wish they could spend the amount of time they could have spent with you while you were sweeping up the mall?
Yeah, that was a good job at that time. It paid well. I mean, for that time period, I did all right there.
Well, that was a while ago. The Alderwood Mall's changed over the
what
years.
What sucked was you had to be there at 5 a.m.
Yeah. Wow.
to get started running those big squeegee things and all that stuff down those corridors and have it all cleaned up before the mall opened at 9.
Now they got the outdoor part. So you'd have to go out there with an umbrella to do some cleaning. Now they got that whole outdoor, outside whatever they call it, the Terrace Palace Garden area, whatever the hell that is.
All the other stuff is, like the REI.
And they got a macaroni grill up there now, don't they?
That's some good stuff.
How about that? You can't beat a macaroni grill. Come on.
Panera Bread. I say you go back to work there. Screw it.
What the heck?
What is this fighting stuff?
You've made something of yourself. And you've made something of the UFC as well. I mean, you both have been good for each other.
Well, thanks. I've been having a blast. It's been an amazing 12 years.
God, and I'm looking
12, wow.
I'm looking at you right now because a lot of people have a question. I mean, many people go, okay, first thing is are you crazy? Because, this younger guy, Nogueira, that you're going to be facing off against Portland at the Rose Garden on the 29th, which will be available pay-per-view, UFC 102. People are going, geez, the guy has got age on you. Plus, the guy beat up a truck. I mean, truck tried to get him. Truck tried to run him over. He beat the hell out of the truck and survived that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say to people? Because that's the obvious thing. Because you're an older man. But you know what? You and I are close in age, and yet, my God, you look like you got about 10 years junior to me. It's so aggravating. I got to stop eating crap. What do you say to those people?
I'm wearing a hat, so the bald spot doesn't really show.
Oh, come on, show it, rock it. We have the same hairline and baldism.
You're still sporting some hair there, so.
Yeah, but I'm getting there. You know what? I think I trade the hair to sort of have my wife look at me the way she probably would look at you.
Hair for muscles.
Because when I step out of the shower, it is probably like Alien for a lot of people. So but people will say that. They'll go, "Hey, you know what, man? Seriously, Randy? The guy's younger, and do you think?"
Well, everybody in this game's younger than me at this point.
That's a good point.
I just turned 46, so I get those questions all the time, and have for the last 6 or 7 years of my career. So, I didn't start fighting in mixed martial arts till I was 33, almost 34, which by most people's stretch of the imagination is already over the hill for a combative sport. So, I'm just a late bloomer, I guess. I don't know.
That's fantastic. I mean, you do look like you're in fantastic shape. And so the only thing I would think at this point would be endurance, because sometimes is that the toughest thing to keep going. You can be in good shape, but is the endurance the hardest thing?
No, I don't find that difficult at all.
Really?
I feel like I'm in great shape physically, and my body's held up really well. I'm improving technically. I'm learning new things and getting better as a fighter. And I've been fortunate that I have not had a lot of serious injuries that have kept me out of training for very long. And I think that's allowed me to keep my fitness level high and have some longevity. I think the wrestling nature of our sport, unlike boxing, we're solely reliant on your ability to react and get out of the way of punches. The wrestling nature of our sport allows for a little more longevity. I can get my hands on guys, tie them up. It's not solely reliant on me just getting out of the way of things. So, I get away with a lot more. Things have changed. I think there's a science to sports now. We're getting more out of our bodies. Really, 40 is now the new 30, what 30 used to be. And you're seeing it in all professional sports across the board. Guys competing and staying at a high level for a much longer time, getting more out of their bodies. And I think, age is really just a number. It's kind of about what your passion is and how much you want to dedicate to being in that shape. Look at Armstrong right now, and there's a lot of guys that are older guys that are still competing at a very high level.
We have a lot of questions, and the first one comes from a huge MMA fan, the guy right behind you, the Reverend Fuego, our call screener, who actually just he pay-per-viewed this weekend and watched Number Hundy.
We keep him in that room because he has bad gas.
And That's not a joke.
Is that what that cloud is?
Yeah, exactly. So we do that. We do that for you and anybody else that's in the building. So, Rev, what's your question for Randy the Natural? What do you got?
Well, thanks, BJ. I'm just kind of wondering, UFC 100 happened on Saturday, and one of the big surprises I thought, at least in my opinion, was how Dan Henderson knocked out Bisping. But the big question was the punch afterwards when he was down on the ground. Even Henderson said he took that shot to make him shut up. I thought maybe what were your thoughts about the kind of the late hit? At least in my opinion, it was a late hit.
Well, I don't think it was a late hit. You don't really stop fighting until the referee steps in and stops you. Okay. And I think in the heat of it, I mean, Bisping went down, Danny followed him down, clobbered him one more time. Did he need to? No. But in the heat of it, it's kind of hard to stop mid-punch.
Okay.
And
cool.
so I think his response to that was, well, that was just one more to shut him up. But in reality, I think in the heat of the fight, he was going. He didn't know if Bisping was gone or not in that flash as he went down, and so I didn't think that it was. I thought the response was rather funny, but yeah. I don't think he was being brutal or excessively going after him.
Do you think Bisping can recover from a knockout like that?
Well, yeah, there'll be a psychological piece to that. How he comes back if he's a little gun shy, if it takes him a little bit to kind of get a couple fights and get through it. We've seen it before with other fighters. Arlovsky, when he fought Sylvia and got knocked out, it took him a while to kind of come back around before he was able to just kind of cut loose and get in there and mix it up. I think that's natural.
I feel really bad about this whole part of the interview because Steve's just got the back of your head.
Oh, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that is the
video blog. It's going to be sweet.
That's going to be the weirdest video ever. It's just we probably should get a camera in your room next time, Ref, so that because Randy was just being courteous by talking to the person, but unfortunately we got
something that we never do. Hey, speaking of UFC 100, one of the big things that's being talked about today is the fact that how Brock Lesnar handled the fight and what he said afterwards. And I was wondering, because you fought him, I personally think that he looked like a schmuck for what he did, but I was wondering what you thought.
Well, the technical part of the fight went how I thought it would go.
Right.
And so I didn't really expect him to lose his mind after the fight, but he did. I don't know. That's just not the kind of thing that our sport's known for, is those kind of antics and those kind of comments and that sort of thing. And I'm sure that the UFC is going to be on him about harassing the sponsor. I mean, Bud Light's a big sponsor.
What
so,
was he thinking?
We don't really care if Brock got paid, It's not really about that. And then, we don't really want to know that he's getting on his wife that night either. So
that's a weird visual, too.
And I'm thinking, what, is that a special occasion? You think that would happen? I mean, if you're married to Sable, you'd think that would be happening all the time. But
that's right, he's married to Sable.
It's just kind of like, what the hell? But,
oh, man. Well, they say, of course, you can take the kid out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the kid. And do you think there's a little bit of that?
I don't know.
Is he going to ever be able to get that sort of world wrestling entertainment out of him and realize that this
I think that's part of it. He's used to kind of those kind of antics for the WWE, and that's carried over now into our sport, and I don't really like to see it, and I don't think a lot of the fans like to see it. But I know there's a lot of people that are going to tune in to see when he gets beat now because of that. I mean, I got 10 texts that night watching the fight saying, what an idiot, and all kinds of stuff.
And it's funny because I love both the UFC and the WWE. I think both are awesome, and just the way that he acted, I just thought, there's a difference between the two, and I'm able to differentiate it. And, WWE is about everything's over the top. And the UFC, I always felt like, you say what you say before the fight, but then once the fight happens and it's over, you could shake your opponent's hand and show a little respect.
Yeah, it's about camaraderie and respect, and that's the martial arts part of what we do. And I think he lost sight of that. Yeah. He hasn't found that yet. I'm not sure.
Well, I think you're right. He hasn't found it because in the other fights that he's won, he's kind of done some silly things too.
Well, and we brought that up before, and we're talking to Randy Couture, and we did bring that up. It's like, I know that your upbringing in the world of wrestling. I mean, unless you had a coach that was an idiot, I mean, that's what they tell you is to honor your opponent.
Absolutely.
Martial arts, the same thing. It makes you wonder, like, did he have any kind of team sport or martial art training at all in his life that he wouldn't realize that that's part of it?
Well, I guess the surprising is that he comes from the same wrestling background that I came from, and I don't know a single coach that I've ever been around that would put up with that sort of thing. And the thing about a sport like wrestling is as soon as you walk out on that limb and act like that, somebody's going to kick your butt. And at any given match, you're going to get your butt handed to you, and it doesn't allow for you to be that arrogant and act that way. And this sport, he'll figure out is no different.
Don't forget UFC 102, Couture versus Nogueira. And again, it's at the Rose Garden. If you can, it will be available on pay-per-view, so you can watch it.
The BJ Shea Morning Experience on 99.9 KISW.